Yeah, I hate the shadows, but it's something.
You got some video games I can play with? Hey you, trying to make all kinds of games?
Well, you came to the right channel. Yes, sir! Yo, what it do, guys? What's poppin'? How you guys doing today? Alright, guys. Today we're gonna be talking about what is a deload, how to deload, and when to deload. Because I see a lot of you guys in the gym working your ass off,
Making all kinds of games.
but I see that you guys feel like shit, look like shit, and are repping shit, and you don't know when to take a deload. Why? Because you don't know how to hit the motherfucking brakes, home dog. So today I'm gonna be showing you guys, well, not showing you guys, but talking about how to deload properly, when to deload, reps and sets, and all that shenanigans. All right, so number one, guys, what is a deload? In simple terms, all right, guys, so in simple terms, a deload is a period of time where you basically lower down your fatigue, lower down the volume, the sets, and possibly the weight. You could only work out hard for so long. You could only go so fast in that Lamborghini without running gas. It's that simple, guys. Your body is the exact same thing. If you're going week by week, going hard as fuck, now I'm talking about you're hitting PRs, new rep PRs, new weight PRs, you eventually have to slow down some. And I'm talking about hit the brakes like a motherfucker. Why? Is this simple? You accumulate fatigue as the weeks pass, as you get stronger, as you get more shredded, and your body starts feeling like shit, and you start mentally feeling like shit. Alright, so when you take a deload, it is totally fine. It's the way to go. But for my beginners out there, if you have not learned the technique properly, you have not overall learned the movement properly, you don't take deloads. Alright? But for my intermediate up to advanced lifters, it is very, 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 very necessary for all you guys to take a deload, because first of all, you already know the movement, you already learned the movement, you have the motor patterns on point, or you should have the motor patterns on point, and if not, you're still a beginner. But once you get pretty damn strong, doing a lot of volume, you're getting pretty damn strong overall,
Making all kinds of games.
it is time to start implementing deloads. Alright? So, for all you guys going ham in the gym, I'm proud of you. But you gotta slow down some. Deloads depend on individual to individual. Alright? So that's the next topic. When to deload. This depends on person to person. Some people could go ham for 4 weeks straight. Some people could go ham for 8 weeks straight, or even 12 weeks straight. It really depends on if you're running a program. It really depends on your goals. It really depends on your age, your mentality, outside stress factors, and whatnot. So for all you guys wondering, when do I take a deload? It really depends. You know, I think it's based off instincts. Once you start feeling like shit, like your body, and if you mentally feel like shit, like you're out of it, you're not even amped to go to the gym and make gains, that's the time to deload. And this is for bodybuilding, this is for hypertrophy. Excuse me. For strength training, it's a lot different. Alright, I'm talking about, in this video, what I'm talking about is bodybuilding. And bodybuilding is a hell of a lot different compared to strength training. So that is not my expertise. Go check out the powerlifters channels if you want to learn how to deload. But in this video, it's bodybuilding deloads. Okay, so when you take a deload, it's simple. When you start feeling like shit, and you notice this once you start feeling the weight's pretty damn heavy. You know, you start feeling like, god damn, 225 was hella light 2 weeks ago, and now this week and the next week it felt like fucking like way too heavy. It's not bad to, you know, have bad days, bad workouts, but how do you determine to take a deload? When you start having shitty sessions 2 weeks in a row. If you start noticing 2 weeks in a row you know you can't really push it as much as you would like to, it's time to take a deload. Okay? But if you run a program, by the end of the program, by the end of the week, you should start feeling like shit, and that's totally normal because that's when you're at your strongest point. but that's also when your fatigue is at its highest point. All right, so that's why I recommend running a program, because you actually can handle this. You can manage your fatigue levels. You can see like, okay, it's almost the end of the program. I'm going to start feeling like shit, but that's when I'm at my strongest point. But if you don't run a program, you're not gonna know.
Like, am I getting strong? Is this normal?
And if you're running a program and it's a 4-week program, and you notice by the 4th week you don't really feel that fatigued, like you feel like you're hitting new rep PRs, you're basically still doing pretty damn good in the gym, even though it's the end of your program, don't take a deload. Just follow through with the next program. And it's that simple. Because everybody's different, guys, and you have to take in consideration of outside stress factors, because that also accumulates fatigue, mental fatigue. So if you're going through a life crisis, you're going through money issues, broke up with your girlfriend, all this crap, you also have to take in consideration of that. That also builds up fatigue, mental fatigue. It might not be physical, but it can translate to physical. All right, so make sure when you're working out, you're not too stressed out. Your life is going pretty damn good. And I know sometimes shit happens. Sometimes we feel depressed. Sometimes, we lose money. We lose a fucking something. It's just something happens and you feel like shit. That's totally fine. We're all gonna have bad days, bad workouts. But if you notice 2 weeks in a row, like you cannot progress in your lifts, you're not hitting new rep PRs, this and this and that, I would highly recommend a deload. Okay, so you can just slow down some, regroup, reset, and then once you start your next program, you can go all ham on that. But you have to make sure that you're not stressed out outside the gym, because that does affect you. It does affect your lifts. I know for some of you guys, if you guys break up with your girlfriend, you probably go ham in the gym. But for some of you guys, you be hella depressed, cuddled up with a blanket in your bed and just crying or some shit. We're all different. We all manage our stress differently, and I'm not gonna blame you if something's happening in your life and then you cannot progress in the gym. Just slow down some, dude. It's not all about lifting. I totally understand that. For some of us, lifting is just something it's just an outlet, just something we can put all our anger into, all our passion into. But for some of us, it is a job. Just like me, bro. This is my job. So I do my best not to be stressed out outside the gym, just because I know that's going to apply to my lifts. It's going to affect my lifts like crazy. You know what I'm saying? Okay, guys. Finally, how to deload. How to deload. What are the numbers? What are the reps, sets, this and this and this and that. It's very simple. I'm going to say it in simple terms, because a lot of you guys be watching these science dudes and don't understand. And I understand, because sometimes I don't understand. But I do my best. All right, so by default, how should you do your reps and sets and the weight when you're on a deload week? There's many ways of approaching this. First things first, you can cut the weight by 50% and the sets by 50%. That's simple. You can do it that way and do it, both halves of the week. So if you're running a push-pull legs and then push-pull legs, cut the first half of the week by 50%, the weights and the sets. And then the next half of the week, do the exact same thing. Cut the weight and the sets by 50%. Or you can do it this way. And I feel like you shouldn't do it this way unless your lifts are like low numbers. But everybody's different. Everybody's built differently. So I can't say what's low number for you or what's high number for you. So you can do it this way as well. The second option you can do on a deload week is keep the weight the same, around the same, but cut the sets in half. And also leave 2 to 4 reps reserved in the reps in reserve. All right, so you understand that? I'm gonna say that again. So you can keep the weight around the same, but cut the volume, cut the sets drastically, 50 to 70%. You can do it this way for both halves. The first week you can do that, and then the second week you can do that as well. So keep the weight around the same and cut the volume drastically for both halves of the week. Or you can have a mixture of both. You can cut for example, the first half of the week you could cut it by, damn, I'm fucking up. For example, the first half of the week you can have the weight relatively the same and drop the volume. And then the next half of the week, you drop the weight and you drop the volume. Or you can do it like this too. Have the weight relatively the same, then you drop the volume, and then right here you drop the weight, but keep the volume pretty high. All right, there's many ways of doing a deload. It's all an experiment. For some people, if they cut the volume drastically on leg day, the next time they come in and do leg day on a normal schedule, they might notice they get fatigued pretty quick. So for people like that, you just have to experiment, you know? Some people have to have the weight on leg days the same, but drastically drop the volume. And for some people, if they do that, they'll be like, God damn, I don't feel like I deloaded. All right, so there's many ways of approaching a deload. It's all an experiment. But by default, a deload week can last up to a week to 2 weeks. And by default, a deload week is cutting the weight by 50% and cutting the sets by 50%. That simple, okay? Once you already know that, you can play around with the numbers. You can see, okay, this works for me and this doesn't work for me. All right, because what I'm saying is not gonna work for everyone. Because even that doesn't work for me. If I cut my volume on my legs by 50%, I notice that the next time I do leg day, it just feels like not right. So me personally, when I have my leg days, I drop the weight by 50% and the volume, I relatively keep it the same. And that's gonna drop fatigue just simply because I lowered down the weight by 50%. But for some of you guys, that might not work. But I'm just saying what works for me. But go by the default numbers. Cut the weight by 50% and the sets by 50%. And run with that. Do whatever works for you. Everything is all an experiment. You gotta always remember this. How one thing works for an individual is not gonna work for you. Everybody is unique. Everybody's different. Everybody has different leverages. Everybody, you know, manages fatigue differently. So this is my recommendation. Just play around with the numbers. Make sure you're not doing too much, and make sure you're not hitting PRs on a deload week, because that's not a deload week. That's just a normal schedule. So hopefully you guys learned something new. Hopefully I made this as simple as possible. I dumbed it down for you guys as much as possible. All right, so that's it with this video. Peace. I'll see you guys in the next one.